Good morning, everybody. I won't do a double take like Chad always does. So if we could, let's have the teens come up that joined us for Endurance this year, please. Grab a seat. Grab a seat. Who's going to sit the farthest away? Good counting. Good counting, Chad. So this is the group that we brought down to Swansea, New Hampshire, which if you don't know where Swansea, New Hampshire is, it is 3 hours away from here. So we took 2 vehicles down. So it was Chad, myself, and Jackson and Rylan in our vehicle, and Lori took the rest of the group down. So she had quite the car full of joyful noise. So first off, just to kick it off, I want to play that video. Please roll that bean footage. It's worth it. So I'll just talk a little bit while they're getting that up, so we don't sit here in silence. So Swansea, New Hampshire, we went to a place called Pilgrim Pines in Swansea, New Hampshire. It is a camp and retreat. So we weren't staying in a 5-star hotel. We were staying in cabins and bunk cabins, which were very interesting. We were matched up with a whole different group of people. I believe there was, I want to say 5 different churches. Does that sound right? 5 different churches there. Yes. Oh. Nope. Wrong one. The other one. The other one. So 5 other churches. Wait. Okay. Go.
Do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
So that came up multiple times throughout the weekend. So that was on Friday night. They kicked the week off, or the weekend off, excuse me, with that video to really fire the kids up and fire the adults that were there. And just to go through it a little bit, like I was mentioning earlier, we had 5 different churches there. Scott and Deb Mayotte from Manchester Vineyard put this whole thing on, get all the resources together. It's an amazing time. We had churches from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine, and New York was the other one that was there. So there was around mid-80s of people, teens, and volunteers that were there putting this event on. So it was an amazing time. So this place, Pilgrim Pines, every year is they talk about it, they mention it, and it's a point of interest, and that is the food that they prepare for us. So they have a huge cafeteria, and they prepare breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us, and it's great. So I just wanted to kick off the questions with this one, which was, what was your favorite meal of the weekend? Chad's going to get you a microphone back there. Actually, let's switch. Can we switch? What was your favorite meal of the weekend? Anyone?
You want to go first?
Yeah,
You're gonna say why. I will. Probably no, not breakfast. It was probably lunch because I like Mexican food and we had like burritos and they were really good. The meat, the shells, it was just really good food to eat, and it's not like your normal drabby camp food. It's like good food.
I'm gonna have to go with breakfast because they like served eggs and hash browns, which were really good, and they had like sausage and like bagels, which you could heat up in a mini oven. It was like really good, and like it was like the only meal that like really made me feel full because the rest were like eh.
As a different opinion, I thought all the meals were great. But yeah, breakfast is definitely my favorite. I think like my favorite food overall is the sausages from Endurance. Like it's not just sausage, it's the sausages from Endurance. So, and I used to think my favorite food was sausage, but I realized that it's just an Endurance thing because they're so good. And the French toast, they make eggs, just the whole, they have like a breakfast bar that's just filled with a different variety of food. And it's all so amazing.
Girl stole my answer. Mine was the sausage, but also the French toast, like just that meal entirely. The breakfast stuff is all so good. Breakfast is my favorite meal anyways, but they make it just so much better.
I have no clue. Personally, I don't know. I guess I'll just say the breakfast. I don't know.
I like the pulled pork sandwiches for dinner. I don't know why. I just like them. Yeah.
It was really good. So when you think back on the weekend, what was your favorite part? Was it just some examples here? Yeah, was it the worship, the games, the food, the meeting new friends, or for those of you that have been there before, reconnecting with old friends? So take a second, think about what your favorite part of the weekend was. Was it the cold? Just throwing that out there.
It was probably late games. Yeah. But it was nice in the water. But when you got out, it was really cold. So, yeah.
Hands down, no doubt, the skits. They're the funniest things on earth. I laughed at every one of them. I've never laughed that hard in my life.
The scavenger hunt. I have no clue why.
Okay.
My favorite part isn't necessarily like the games, it's the people, because like everyone's so open, and so then you can hang out with all your friends.
My favorite part is when you like choose the teams. You like go up to Debbie, she wishes you luck, and then you pick out a number, and then you run outside, and that's my favorite part because you're like, oh, who has 2? Like, who's the group leader for 2? And then you get to meet everybody and see your old friends, and like you're either lucky or not lucky. I was lucky this year, so that was my favorite part.
Because you had Levi. I probably liked the skits the best because like that's just the most funniest part of Endurance. It's just so fun because like you have to tie the skit to a memory verse, and like sometimes it's just so random, like it doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be like tied to it, but this year was pretty decent.
I'm gonna have to agree. The skits are the games are a definite highlight of the whole thing, but the skits are just so much fun because like you get to go all crazy if you want to. You get to totally embarrass yourself in front of everyone else if you want to, and and it's just so much fun. And it's really fun, like, when you have a really good skit and, like, they don't judge it good.
So we'll be going into more about everything you guys just heard, because you heard a bunch of what was their favorite part, and we're going to touch upon all of that a little bit more. We're going to start at talking about when we got there on Friday night. The kids just kind of hung out while everybody showed up. And then we went to the main building and we had worship, which was really awesome all weekend. And then we did icebreaker games, which allowed the kids to kind of laugh and get used to seeing different faces, and they had to meet different people right out of the gate, so it like really lightened up the mood. And then, like Kendra was saying, we went into splitting up the teams, and she kind of explained how they did that. And it was the team dynamic, so it was, you know, all these different kids coming together. So they weren't on, these guys were not on a team together. So they went there and they all ended up on different teams, as you can see with the colors of their shirts. So that's like a huge thing, that all these kids from different vineyards all come together and become different teams. It's just great when all these believers can come together and do this. So, does anybody remember their team name?
I do.
What was it?
Our team leader's name was Dave, so we were Dave and the Killer Peaches, because our shirts are peaches.
Ours was the Red Lobsters because our shirt is red, so hence the name.
Ours was the Pretty Pink Piggies. And then, like, in that, all of us got names. So we had, like, Mr. Bacon. I was Fatty Bacon. We had pork chops. We had pigtails. We had tons of different nicknames. So it was just really fun for that. I think my favorite part of the names was the fact that, like, you could just scream out, like, oh, go Fatty. Or, like, one of the kids would only go by Mr. Bacon. Like, you couldn't call him his real name. He would just respond to Mr. Bacon. It was so funny.
My team, we were called the Sewer Dogs because our shirt kind of looks like sewer.
The Dancing Belugas.
We were the Marine Squad, and my team leader would always scream our name, like, whenever he felt like it. The most random thing.
I forgot.
We're on the same team, as you can tell. I got to have Abigail on my team, which was wonderful. The Brits. The Brits.
I don't know why we picked that.
I know.
Someone just randomly shouted it out, and then we couldn't decide on one, so we just went with that.
Yeah, like everybody all weekend was like, you're the who? Like it didn't make any sense, but we're the Brits, so it is what it is.
So while they were picking teams and getting all that organized, Chad, myself, and a bunch of other people with the black shirts on were getting all the games together and prepping all that information and for the group to come through. And the first one we did while they were getting ready was a food challenge where everyone had to line up. We had a big table of all different kinds of foods, nothing gross, which was good. Well, nothing. Okay, maybe not. Well, it wasn't that bad. That's true. I didn't eat anything. So I guess my question to that, Abigail and Cammie, and what was the most memorable food that you ate during that first challenge?
Does it have to be food?
Did you eat not food?
Well, there was milk.
Oh, yes.
But there was this ginger thing that I didn't like.
Oh yeah.
You had to suck on it.
Yeah, it was a ginger chew.
Yeah, and it tastes disgusting.
Probably the fruit roll-up, because the milk, you're supposed to drink it, but I had to chug it, and that's gross. So the fruit roll-up was really good.
The ginger candy.
For me, it was the vanilla pudding because I am not a fan of pudding. And I had to eat it as fast as I could, and I literally gagged. And I had to take a second and finish it. But yeah, I had to do it for the team.
I got the fruit roll-up. I was only able to eat one thing, but it was so hard to eat the fruit roll-up because, like, it's like you're supposed to take little bites and chew them, but you're trying to go as hard as you can. You end up taking like 2 bites and swallowing them like big pills, like this big, and you're just like, gotta gulp it down.
So I had like the worst combination. I like had spicy pretzels, and then I had the sweet fruit roll-up. So at the end of the challenge, I felt like I wanted to throw up because it was a terrible combination in my stomach. But I'd probably say the fruit roll-up.
I had these little wiener hot dog things, and they were so disgustingly gross because they were just covered in oil and it was just disgusting. Yeah, they were kind of cold.
Cold hot dog.
And then I also had some milk, which, didn't taste like milk, but whatever. It wasn't a good experience, but I toughed it out. And I didn't complain.
So that was the first challenge they had. So everything they did was a challenge where someone would win or they were ranked. So that was the whole idea of the whole weekend. Every time they had a game or a challenge is that they were trying to win. Because at the end of the weekend, there's a team that won everything or whatever. But you guys, thinking about your team that you were on, and this doesn't apply to everybody, so just if this applies to you, you can go ahead and speak on it. Did any of you guys make a special connection with a teammate this year?
We all kind of had the same connection with each other. We were all really chill.
Probably have to say the same thing, but Ken would probably have to say Levi, right?
Yep, I got a team with two of my favorite, I'd say, other than Allison and a few other people, two of my favorite people at Endurance this year, they're both very, very good at the games as well. So we got a lot of hate from other people. But inside our group, we were very content, and as a whole, we did really well. Also, there's this girl named Grace who I was on a team with, and she was super awesome. She was super great. I was really glad I got to know her. It was her first year. So, and a child named David. He was really cool, too. Mr. Bacon.
I didn't really know anyone on my team. I mean, technically my team leader, I knew his younger brother, but he wasn't on my team. But I liked this girl named Ronnie, I'm not sure. But she was super energetic, so I just liked having her on my team. But I still didn't really get to know her, but I liked her.
I have no clue.
So I was on a team with no one I knew, so I was especially since when I got there, I did not want to talk to anyone new. But getting on a team really pulled me out of my shell, and there's this girl on my team named Emma. She was the team leader's daughter. We made a connection because I helped her with her braiding her hair. She was the one in the play where she was acting snobby. She was this is the ridiculous one. But I mean, we confided in each other. We helped each other out. She was super energetic, super happy, and really brightened my day to see her, just so happy.
I didn't know anybody on my team, but I knew Lori, and that helped me be open to other people and I don't know, know them more, and yeah.
Okay, so now we have another video for you guys where you can kind of see some of what these guys are talking about and get a visual. Go ahead, go for it.
Every wall you have broken down, the veil in between us, love tore apart. We're ready for you, God, ready for your love. Now faith like a fire, it's in our bones, and praise is exploding in all of us. We're ready for you, God, ready for your love. There's no fear. There is no fear. There is no fear in your love. With open arms, God, we are ready to run into your presence. There is no fear in your love. Now grace like a river is flowing down, and all eyes are on you, 'cause you're beautiful. We're ready for you, God, ready for your love. What is hurting, love can heal. What is lost and long forgotten, love restores and love reveals. Love is peace. Like a flood, singing songs of our redemption. We are set free in this love. We are set free. We are set free in this love. Yeah, we are set free. We get set free in this love. I run into your presence. I run into your presence. I run into your presence. I come as I am. I come as I am. I run into your presence. I run into your presence. I run into your presence. I come as I am. I come as I am. No fear. There is no fear. No. There is no fear in your love. We are ready to run into your presence. There is no fear in your love. There is no fear. There is no fear in your love. With open hearts, God, we are ready to run into your presence. There is no fear in your
Stop, turn around, yeah, good. Excuse me.
into your presence. I run into your presence. I run into your presence. Into your presence. I run into your presence. I run into your presence. There is no fear in your love. With open hearts, God, we are ready to run into your presence. There is no fear in your into your presence. I run into your presence.
All right, so that gives you guys a little bit of visuals to everything these guys are talking about. That last picture there, if you notice, there was one girl who is not sitting up here. She goes to a different church that she just came with us. Her name is Gwen. She's used to go to school with Cammie, and she became good friends with these girls. Okay, so guys, what happens in the morning? First thing after, so they wake up at like 6, and then what happens?
You gotta do the polar plunge.
Gotta jump in the freezing water. No, the hot tub. Never mind.
Yeah, no, the water was actually so warm compared to the air this year because the air was like what, mid-60s and rainy.
More like 40s.
In the morning, it was in the 50s.
20-degree weather.
Yeah, you want to tell about what the polar plunge is?
So, you'd have to wake up really early. You go outside right next to the lake. You'd wait for someone to let you in, basically, and then you'd jump off of the dock, and then you'd just get wet, and then that would wake you up.
So that's what they do first thing in the morning, and then this weekend consists of a lot of water, so then they stayed wet like all day in and out of the water. And when you're out of the water, what was it like when you guys were out of the water? When you were like doing some of the challenges out of the water?
Freezing. Shake my head.
So you were in the water. It was nice and warm. When you got out, it was really cold. The air was really cold. So that didn't help at all.
I almost fell off the dock trying to get in the first time. That wasn't fun, but I didn't get hurt, and I didn't want to get out because when we were doing the games, I was like straggling on the shore because I'm like, I don't want to get out. It's so warm.
It was freezing cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water was definitely warmer than the air, and like especially there was one game called Spoons, and you had to play spoons and then go in the water and collect spoons. And there was multiple rounds, so after getting out of the water, you had to play another card game, and your like hands are frozen and you're shivering. It was very difficult.
Yeah, it was so windy. That was one of the big problems was like you get out of the water, even if you get out of the water and it's windy and it's sunny out, it's cold. If you get out of the water and it's not sunny and it's windy and like slightly sprinkling, it's a lot worse. And there was a lot of games where it'd be like, so there's like this lakeside and you just stay there and most of your day would be like in and out of the water. So your t-shirt would get wet from you putting it over your bathing suit and it just never got dry. So then when you finally thought you'd get dry, they'd say, okay, put your t-shirt on. And you're cold again.
So it was nice on Saturday morning when we jumped in. And then, like, we go down to the water games, and then it starts sprinkling. We're like, of course it starts sprinkling. And, like, it doesn't make a difference because we're going in the water. But then, like, we get out of the water, and it's, like, windy, and it's freezing. And we're like, can we just go inside? And then, yeah, the thing about spoons is that it was so cold, like, your hands barely move when you're trying to pass other people cards. So it was really fun overall.
We had to do the plunge twice, once on Saturday morning, again on Sunday morning. So on Sunday morning, Scott's like, the water's like 10 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. And we're like, oh, really? So then we go in the water and it's like 15 degrees worse than what it was on the day before. I'm like, what are you talking about, Scott? But I can proudly say that I was the first in on Sunday. So. Yes, I was. But he doesn't give you extra points for that, so. But no, it was cold. It was cold. It was cold Saturday morning, because you're in and out of the water and it was freezing. So, but we had a good time, despite the cold. I mean, last year it wasn't that cold. It was actually really warm last year, and now this year it was really cold. So, both extremes.
Yeah, so that Saturday morning was a lot of water games down by the beach, in and out of the water. Different stations that they had to go through, and every game was worth points, and they collected points. There we go. Collected points throughout the week to see who ended up winning. But during all this time, the team leaders and their groups had to also come up with a skit for Saturday night. So all day while they're busy doing this stuff, Chad had plenty of time off to lounge around and do stuff. And Lori and the rest of the group were during those downtime. Oh, me too? Yeah, I know, me too. During those downtimes, they didn't have downtimes because they had to prepare a skit. And do you want to speak on that a little bit? Because Lori got thrown a little bit to the wolves, being the first time at Endurance, and now she's a team leader. And so, yeah, you want to speak to that in your words?
I was just so impressed with these kids because yes, they were booked all day long. They were in challenges. Every moment was kind of mapped out for them. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, you have to make up a skit with your team at the same time. Like, you have to find the time to do this. So on the schedule, they had downtime. I don't know about you guys, but our team did not do downtime. We did, oh my gosh, we're going to make up this skit that we have to perform that night and make it funny. It had to have music. It had to have a memory verse in it. It just had to have all these components, and these kids actually came together. Each one of these teams came together, made it happen. It was so impressive. It was so impressive. But when you have this team, guys, you are with them the whole time, except for sleeping and some of your downtime. But besides that, you're with this team the whole time. So you grab any pocket of time you have to work on this skit that then they come up with for at the night. And so does that bring us to the memory verse? So the memory verse is something they had to have in the skit and the next day. So who remembers? Oh, look at you guys. Do you guys all want to say it together? That doesn't end well. You guys can do it.
As for what was sown amongst thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world. As for what was sown.
Guys, that was impressive. I mean, that was weeks ago, and they still remember it. That's really impressive. Does anybody remember what part of the Bible it comes from?
Matthew 13:22.
Nice. That is awesome. It was very impressive. Where are we at?
Sure. So Saturday night included worship. We had an amazing word and then a great time of prayer. And there's a couple of pictures showing just a prayer that was going on that night between the teens and the kids and some of the adults that were there. And it was just a powerful time together. Does anybody remember the significance of Spider-Man in the word? Does anyone remember the string going around? Do you remember? Does anybody remember? Pass it to Kendra.
Okay, so in one of the pictures, there was like this big string. I'm sure you guys saw, hopefully. And yeah, I was only up there for like 5 seconds, but pretty much Scott went around to this one girl and was like, or not Scott, Tim.
Yeah, I think it was Tim.
Tim went around to this one girl and he was like, who here have you made a connection with this weekend? And she was like, oh, I made a connection with this person. And then he went to her, who have you connected with? Who have you connected with? Yep. And it made this big web around the whole auditorium. That's what I'm going to call it. Yeah. It's mess hall. Around the whole mess hall. And it reached every single team. And it was just really powerful because it was talking about like, you know, like what you do, what you say, like it affects everyone. If this one person falls from God, you know, it's easy for the next to fall and then them. And if we all stay in God together, or even just one person, it's easy to spread it throughout. And they use Spider-Man as a reference because that's popular for us.
Perfect. That knocked off my next question too. So through Saturday night or through the weekend, guys, did Christ reveal anything about himself to you on Saturday night or Sunday morning or during those worship times? I know I'm throwing you guys a hard one here.
When we're gathered together as believers and we're worshiping Jesus together, the Spirit does move, and it moves among people. And I saw, you know, everybody that night, you know, just so many people in, you know, worship and prayer, and you could tell the Spirit was moving, and it was, you know, influencing these people, and, you know, they were acting on that, and it was really cool to see. I, you know, also took part in that. I prayed for someone as well, and it was just really, really awesome to just, you know, see the Spirit move like that the way it did.
Yeah, so worship is so powerful every single year. I've got something to say about it. It brings like all of the people you'd never expect to see cry end up crying at the end of the night. Everybody's hugging, everybody's praying. It's just so beautiful and so awesome to see God move like that. There was like swaying. So some of our worship leaders were talking about like, so we were all singing and apparently we were all swaying like in syncly. And he was like, I have never ever seen that before, but it was just so magical for him, and I could tell. It was just awesome. I love, love, love the worship. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful when you're sitting there as an adult looking over all these children just soaking in the Spirit and worshiping God together. You don't normally see that, right? Like here in our service, you know, and that's okay. Like teens usually sit down and just kind of, you know, enjoy. But there was just this overwhelming oneness and worship, and everybody was a part of it. And it was very, very, for us as adults, speaking for myself, really, it was very extremely powerful to witness and be part of there.
All right, so moving on to, we didn't talk about the skit. No, we didn't. So which one, what's that? We did. So after all that worship that we're speaking on right now, there was a hard stop to that, and then we went into like the skits. It was not a transition whatsoever, except for it was just a room full of just goodness. And then we got to laugh, because then came the skits that they prepared all day long. So you guys want to talk about maybe what your favorite skit was, or your favorite moment in a skit, and why?
I have resentment against the skits because Jackson should have won.
Yeah, Jackson.
With my whole heart, I
was
believe
amazing.
Jackson's team should have won. Jackson went way out of his typical character. I watched him yell. I watched him jump. I watched him scream. I saw everything in Jackson's skit that I was so hoping to see. And he did not win. Did you even get top 3? They did not even place, and they deserved to win. I thought wholeheartedly they would. I think their judging system is wrong. But the skits are so awesome. Like Lori was saying, you kind of have to throw it together. You get 30 minutes of downtime. Yeah, which sometimes if the games go a little longer than you expected, you don't get 30 minutes of downtime. And then you also have to figure out your skit. So it's not really downtime, it's skit time. And you've got to get away from everybody and just figure it out. And most of the time people are like, oh yeah, we'll figure it out on stage. Like, it will just come to us. And that's kind of what's got to happen, or you practice it and mess up. So one or the other.
So, yeah, like what Lori was saying, it's like worship, and then like it's so powerful, and then it's like, okay, it's time to laugh and do the skits. It's just like so like open, and then like so. I'd say my favorite skit was probably Jackson's, because it was so energetic and crazy, and like you just wouldn't expect that from Jackson, because he's just like yelling and screaming, and it's like Friday Night SmackDown, which was their theme. Besides that, I'd have to say I liked Cammy's second best. I really liked it because it was like American Idol, or as I said, Endurance Idol, which is kind of, I don't know, I don't like the name of that, but I liked the skit overall. It was very nice. It was like, it had humor and it had like really good parts. So I don't think we did the best on our skit, but I really enjoyed it because it was just fun to put together and then do it.
The team that won the skits, that was probably my favorite skit. There was like a couple skits that I really liked, but that one I liked because I love like one-liners and like funny parts in skits, and they had a bunch of funny parts in it. It was really funny to watch. And like Levi, he's like a kid that goes there. Every year someone like impersonates him because he likes to pull his shorts up high, and so someone always likes to like do that and like be Levi, and they had that in that skit, and it was pretty funny.
I liked them all. They were so good. I liked how some people were like rapping them like as one who hears the word. It was funny. Our skit felt like a rough draft because, I mean, first of all, Emma wrote out like something completely different from American Idol, first of all. And then her dad's like, no, 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 we're doing this. And I froze up twice, by the way. Because when they asked, oh, why are you here today? I was like, well, just because I like singing, and then I froze. And then I'm like, I'm just going to make up something. So I said something. And then during the singing, I got the lyrics kind of wrong, but no one noticed. So, I mean, it's okay. But, like, yeah, I loved them all. They were so, so, so good.
I like the skits because, like, it brings out, like, a different, like, it always brings surprises of, like, from people you don't expect. Like, of course, you heard, like, Jackson. He was very enthusiastic, and no offense, Jackson, but sometimes he's very expressionless. So it was very surprising. And Cami sang, and it was so beautiful, but, like, I've never really heard her sing in front of a whole crowd, so that was really impressive. And or it's the complete opposite, and someone's standing there, but it can be funny, and they're, like, not really part of it. But typically, it's really surprising because everyone's just so out there.
Awesome job, guys. Okay, a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Is there anything that happened over the weekend that was unexpected to you guys? Yeah, you want to speak on that? No? No. Anything unexpected? No?
I think the weekend as a whole, like, you don't really go in with expectations, so this question is, like, extra hard because they change the games every year. They change up everything every year, other than the skits. The skits remain the same, but all the skits are different. The judging system, yeah. Yeah, no, you go in, I think the most surprising thing was, I'm not even sure. Everything is just like, oh, okay, or oh, all right, like, that's fine. Everything, like, nothing is expected, pretty much.
I made sure this skit was good enough for the judging last year, because based on what I saw last year, the skits that had the most had a lot of energy, funniness, won. And, like, the skits that were kind of like a corny ripoff of, like, the scripture didn't win. Like ours last year, it didn't win. And so, obviously, that wasn't the case this year because the judges did whatever they had changed. And, yeah. So, that was unexpected.
That was unexpected. Yeah, if you can't tell, Jackson's a little bit bitter about not winning the skit. But honestly, we all believe they should have won. It was great. It was a really good skit. What was the?
Yeah.
Well, it's always next year. What was the most challenging part of endurance for you all this year?
Okay, you go.
Sleeping. Not to throw anyone under the bus. Some people couldn't sleep, and they brought the rest of us down with them. Also, you wake up early, so, you know, going to bed at, like, on Saturday, you don't get to bed till 11. You wake up at 6. So, like, it's supposed to be 7 hours, but realistically, it's more like 4. 4 minus. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Sleeping, because someone was moving in our cabin, and Gwen was shooting out death threats, like, "Do you want to die?" But and then your stuff was falling on my face in the middle of the night. But I gotta say, talking to people I did not know, I'm pretty reserved. I was like being really shy. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. But getting on a team helped me break out of my shell, so that was pretty unexpected. But yeah, sleeping, I agree.
Going to sleep late and waking up early was really hard for me because I usually wake up at like 8 or 9 in the summer anyways. And I had to wake up at 6 instead of my usual time. And going to bed was like 11, which was really hard for me to do because I was really sleepy in here.
I'd say sleeping too. I think we all agree on sleeping, but like it doesn't help that they give you like an inch thick mattress that like maybe, and like when you sleep on the mattress, you can literally feel the spring. So I like took a mattress from another bed and doubled it up, and that still made it.
That's cheating.
No one was sleeping on it. Well, it was just really hard, and like, and not to mention we bunked with like 7 people in our tiny cabin, so like our beds were full, and I'm like, I can't sleep.
Yeah, I mean, the people in our cabin were very, very, very respectful. They didn't make much of a fuss, except for Luke. He was really loud. No, I'm just kidding. But like every time you move on the mattresses, it's like, so you can like hear every single movement. So there was no sleep, but I didn't have to worry about waking up early. So because I never went to sleep in the first place.
Another thing was that like if you had to go to the bathroom like on the top bunk, you'd have to climb down, open the door, the light would peer through. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" Well, our cabin, our people, they didn't do that. But like, and then like you go downstairs, and then the bathroom doors are so they're like, and like the whole world could hear that, and like everyone could probably wake up, but it was just like so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know if the guys got like metal beds, but our beds were like metal. So in the morning, I would wake up because I was right at the window. So I like got to watch. I don't know if you guys saw the sunrise pictures. I got to watch that. It was so fortunate. But then I'd be like, well, I'll go get changed now, so I don't have to wait in the bathrooms for the girls to get changed. And I would try to get down as quietly as I could, and it was like screeching. Any movement you make, if you even like adjust just like that, like it goes squeak. And then all the ruffling of the mattresses. Oh my gosh, it was horrible.
Okay, I'm adding on to sleeping now because one night, because like our cabin was so difficult with sleeping because everyone was moving and squeaking, and we were kind of all upset at each other because we didn't know who it was, but like someone was keeping us up. And one night I woke up at like 4 in the morning, and it was because my pillow had slid under my head and fell on the floor, and I was on the top bunk. And I felt so hypocritical because I was like trying to be so quiet and trying to get my pillow, but I had to climb all the way down, and I felt so bad, but also like someone was keeping me up too. So, but another challenge was like the weather, because like it was very cold and like compared to most other weekends we've gone, and like in the morning when you do the polar plunge, it's always cold because it's 7 in the morning, but this year it was just so much colder, and like throughout the day it was still cold, and it made it really challenging because like you wanted to like, it's always fun, but it just kind of like it made it a little more challenging. And so
Yeah, the first night, death threats, people moving, but also we were laughing because, you know, it's the first night. The second night, we were like, okay, guys, no moving, no noise, no nothing. I had earplugs in, thankfully. That was Gwen. Gwen kept saying that. And then in the morning, I banged my head on the metal, so that wasn't very pleasant. And then, oh yeah, I heard barking outside, and I walked out, and I saw my teammate Sedona, and I was like, yeah, some cabin was barking. She goes, oh, that was our cabin. I'm like, yeah, but the nights were rough. I mean, our bed was shaking.
I just want to say, like, same thing with Allie. Like, I turned, and then my pillow just went off the bed. I was like, okay, I'm just going to lay down, and if I get up again, I'm just going to go get it. So, like, I just couldn't sleep. So, like, I went down, got it, went back up. I was like, okay, I can go back to bed now. So, I'd say that was our struggle through the entire time.
All right. You guys got like a nice overview of their weekend. So just to close out, only if you can think of something, you guys, do you have a favorite memory from the weekend that you're going to hold on to? Yeah? Aubrey, you want to? Go ahead.
The diving in the thing. The pool thing that was, yeah.
There's like an ice. Oh wait.
The ice bath. Yeah, that thing.
We got down to 38 the morning before, or the morning of.
Yeah. Just being with my team, because, I mean, the games, the skits, like, everything was so amazing. So, I mean, everything.
I know it wasn't there, what I'm about to say, but the ride there was chaotic. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah, we did destroy your car.
It was worse than what it was before.
Yeah. We dropped Pringles and we're stepping on them.
The bathroom at
I have 3 kids, and sometimes I don't get to clean out my car, but never, ever has looked the way it did after a 3-hour car ride with these girls. Ever.
Yeah.
We stopped at Market Basket. The bathroom was in the employees' room, which was creepy. It was also freezing.
The car ride for us was so peaceful. I do have a question, Lori. Did you buy Luke did you tell him to buy those chips on purpose because he didn't like them or because he liked them?
That was my bad. Totally. Chad asked me and I
Um,
failed.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably say the prayer was the best. The prayer time, it was just really powerful and nice, and like, it really like Kendra said, it really like brought out people, and like it was really nice to see everyone just praying for each other.
Mine was probably just the anticipation that you feel as, you know, you're about to, like, you're like, which game are we going to next? You know, just that anticipation you feel throughout the whole week. It's really cool. But also, another thing was the rock, paper, scissors tournament that we did the first night, where, like, everybody was, like, doing rock, paper, scissors with each other. And, like, it was kind of chaotic, but it was fun.
I think my favorite part of the weekend was the prayer part as well. One of my good friends, Levi, like he's kind of like a tough nugget. He's not really a show my emotions type of guy, but he got prayed for, and I got to talk with him a little bit about like the stuff he's going through. I got to pray with him, and he prayed for me, and I thought that was really, really cool because like I had never ever seen that side of him.
I always like the last day right before you leave. It's a very like big obstacle course. Like the whole thing it kind of leads up to the final day, and that's always memorable because there's like she said there's the ice bath that you have to. That's the very first thing in the obstacle course. You have to dive under the string, so it forces you to get fully soaked, and that's freezing. And then you have to recite your memory verse right after, and then you do other things, and then you go down this slide, which I happen to go down backwards. Thankfully, they did not show the photo because I somehow turned myself to go down the slide backwards. And then there's like, it's just a big thing. It earns you the most points if you win, and like the whole weekend is leading up to that, so I always like it.
I have no clue.
Also, on the way back at CVS, me and Gwen were just kind of walking around. She was like, baby food, I want some. But I gotta say, the prayer was amazing because it's just so powerful. And I got prayer for my social anxiety, and I immediately felt God, like, take it away. It was so amazing. And yeah, it was memorable.
I'd say one more thing that's memorable is the last lunch. Like when you do like prizes and everything, like regardless of like how you place, it's good to see like the people you care about go up. And like I watch a lot of people I care about get the Spirit Award, which is so awesome for me. And like Allison did a lot really well, and that made me really happy. Same with all these guys and all my friends that I've made there, like seeing them do well. And like everybody cheers in syncly. Everybody goes up and says their team name with like a chant. That part's really funny because most people like don't have one, and they just make it up on spot. It's so funny. So yeah, I'd say that's probably my favorite part.
So as you guys can see, these guys had an amazing time, as did the 3 of us leaders. We just had such an amazing time, and I, for one, cannot wait to go back next year. I think that's collective. Yeah, anything else you want to say? Well, there you go, guys. That gives you an overview of this weekend these guys had. So hope you enjoyed.